'Twas a night for a great basketball game when all through Heck-Ed, the creatures were stirring, leaving opponents full of dread. The season has started with volumes of great care. Even the mighty Zags now fear to enter there. The schedule has not made much of a clatter, but 9 wins and no losses is all that matters. A top 10 ranking is a feather in the cap, but with Pac-10 play looming, this is no time to nap. For the Huskies, the goal is clearly in sight. Take care of business and tell Lehigh good night.
Welcome to college basketball on Fox Sports Net. As tonight we come to you from Seattle, in the Bank of America Arena at Heck Edmondson Pavilion, as the undefeated and 9th-ranked Washington Huskies take on the Lehigh University Mountain Hawks at 5 and 6. Hi again, everybody. Welcome. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. I'm Paul Sunderland. My partner is former Bruin from UCLA, Larry Farmer. And a little bit of history tonight, maybe a lot of history. This building, the Heck Edmondson Pavilion, saw its first action almost 78 years ago. Tonight, the Washington Huskies will try to lock up win number 800. During your playing days at UCLA, you didn't contribute much.
No.
But during your coaching years a little later on, you did chip in part of that 799.
Well, we really did, and you know, what a great tradition here, coming here in the early 70s, but I did contribute to Coach Marv Harshman's chores.
Well, Coach Marv Harshman, one of the legends here at the University of Washington, he will be in attendance, and we'll talk about this venerable old building throughout the course of this broadcast. The Washington Huskies looking for their 31st consecutive win here at the Heck-Ed, and also their 10th overall. And they just got a little bit better, a little bit stronger, and a little more experienced up front with the return of Mike Jensen.
Yeah, Mike Jensen will really help. You know, he started 34 or 35 games last year and averaged over 21 minutes per game. He's an outstanding post defender, and he will shoot that three-point shot with great accuracy to stretch that defense and allow dribble penetration.
And with Pac-10 play looming just next Thursday at Arizona State, and then on Saturday against Arizona, I expect Jensen to play some meaningful minutes tonight against Lehigh University. Obviously facing an uphill climb against the undefeated Huskies, but they turn to a very tough point guard in Jose Oliveira to try to get something done here on the road.
And he's a terrific player. He's very tough-minded. He plays 2 guard, but he's been converted to the 1 guard. His father is a colonel and was in the Green Beret, so you know he's a tough young man, and he won't be intimidated by this crowd.
Well, he won't back down, there is no question, but neither will the Washington Huskies. Currently ranked 9th, looking to stay at 10-0 before they play in the Pac-10. Yep, when you come to Seattle in the Heck-Ed, purple is a Christmas color. We'll be right back with a starting lineup and the tip. Lehigh taking on the Washington Huskies. Good crowd on hand for the Washington Huskies at 9-0 as they take on the Lehigh University Mountain Hawks once again. Want to remind you that college basketball on FSN Northwest is brought to you by Dodge. Grab a life by the horn. Washington Huskies being introduced now, and let's get you to their starting lineup. Very talented and obviously very good. They started the season unranked. Bobby Jones, Jamal Williams, John Brockman, the fine freshman, Brandon Roy, and Ryan Appleby will get his first start at the point guard position. Their outstanding head coach in his 4th season, Lorenzo Romar, tied a school record, 29 wins last year. And as we mentioned, Larry, Pac-10 play only about 6 days away. Does that change his approach to this game at all?
You know, it certainly does, because right now you want to make sure that you're entering the Pac-10 season as focused and as sharp and firing in all cylinders. So this is a game where you want to make sure that you're doing everything the correct way.
For Lehigh, they've made the long trip across country to take on the Washington Huskies. They will start with Mike Fishman, Brian White, Jason Emgebroff, local product, will get the start in the middle. Kyle Neptune and the aforementioned Jose Oliveira at the point guard position. And their 32-year-old head coach out of the University of Notre Dame, Billy Taylor, and we know they will be well prepared.
They will be well prepared, and as Coach Taylor told us earlier today, the first 5 minutes are going to be very important. He wanted to make sure they control tempo. Shot selection was at a premium because he felt that after 5 minutes, he didn't want his players to be at such a disadvantage that they would be behind the 8 ball.
The officials for this evening, Tim, Gabatero, Bobby McRoy, and Rick Bastel. And ever since the Washington Huskies really got it going a couple of seasons ago, Heck Edmondson Pavilion has been a rockin' place for college basketball. In their home whites, Brandon Roy will run at the point. You'll see him all over the floor. Washington controls the tip. Lehigh in brown, and an unforced turnover to open things up as Bobby Jones throws the ball out of bounds.
Well, as Washington gets into their motion, they like to move and spread the defense and look for opportunities to either dribble penetrate the ball or post feed, but that time just not on the same page in terms of popping out or reversing to the basket.
Washington showing some full court pressure. Here is Jason Emgabaroff out of Kent, Washington, and Kentwood High School. First time he's ever played in this building, and very excited about it. Kick ahead quickly to Jones. Shot is blocked from behind, but a foul is going to be called on number 5 in brown. That's Kyle Neptune out of Brooklyn, New York.
And you know, Kyle Neptune is one of the players on this Lehigh team that can create his own shot, and he leads the team in fouls. He averages about 3 per game, so he's definitely going to have to focus at that end of the floor, not pick up any more silly fouls.
Jones at the free throw line, an 84%er so far on the year, a rare miss. That makes him 26 out of 32. Needs only 12 points to become the 30th Husky all time with 1,000 points. Second free throw is well short. Rebound taken by Neptune. So just underway, played only 30 seconds and still scoreless.
And Bobby Jones is coming off a slight right ankle sprain, and if you noticed when he prepared to shoot those free throws, he really didn't have that deep knee bend. Now, he practiced yesterday and didn't appear to be favoring that ankle, but we'll have to wait and see if that's a factor.
Washington back at it after a 17-point victory 1 week ago over Eastern Washington, and Jones only played 5 minutes in that contest before leaving, as you mentioned, Larry. Appleby running the point. Justin Detman, the fine freshman who started the previous 9 games, was late for practice on Thursday. Brandon Roy has that rattle in and out. Nice rebound taken that time by Brian White. The dorms are closed, so Detman was staying in a nearby motel and called for a shuttle to bring him over to practice. Called half an hour early, figured that was plenty of time. 45 minutes later, still no shuttle, so he doesn't get to start, but he will certainly play a lot tonight.
Well, the old Coach Wooden adage was be on time when time's involved, and with school being out, there's absolutely nothing to do except get over here early. All you've got is basketball. So Coach Rollmar sending a very important message to his freshmen, because if you remedy that problem now, you'll never have it in the future.
Still scoreless, played a minute 20 here in Seattle. Pull up jumper, no, knocked loose. Jones thought he was fouled. Still plenty of time to shoot. Nice spin move down inside. Boy, he did get fouled that time, but the ball came back to Washington. Roy, couple of dribbles. Brockman drives baseline. Beautiful pass. And the flush that time down inside by a white-hot Jamal Williams. Williams averaging almost 23.5 points per game over the last 3, shooting 59% from the floor.
You know, and that's one of those subtle basketball plays that Brockman brings to the table.
Pass by Appleby, no look. Brockman was there. Better pass that time, some traffic down inside, and another turnover against Washington on the travel call. So a little bit of a ragged start by both of these teams.
Well, you know, there's been a lot of talk about Brockman and his ability to score around the basket, but here you see the agility, avoiding the charge, and then spotting Jamal Williams on the far side of the basket and making an excellent pass, playing much like a power point guard.
Williams turn, fall away jump shot, and he's 2 for 2. Talked about the role that Williams was on. 22 points on 10 of 16 shooting against Gonzaga. And then against his old team, he continued to light it up. New Mexico went 10 for 16. And then against Eastern Washington, similar if not better numbers, looking to make it 3 in a row. That one comes up empty. Emgabaroff for the rebound for Lehigh.
And that's a nice move right there by a veteran point guard. Olivero slows the tempo down. For Lehigh, you want to run and exploit turnovers or quick shots and get in transition to see if you can get an easier high percentage shot. But if it's not there, you want to be patient. You want to run clock. You don't want this thing to slip away from you early.
Neptune with it, one-on-one, working against Jones. 7 to shoot. Pull-up jumper by Oliveira, and that is good. And as we told you, a tough customer and averaging almost 20 points per game over the last 3. Lob ahead, wild pass, ill-advised, and Neptune coming out of the backcourt.
You talked earlier about preparing for Pac-10 play, and there are so many little things that go into making sure that your team is playing its best possible basketball at the start of conference season. Coach Romar was very excited about having 3 basketball games in 3 weeks because that gave him a lot of time to devote some time and effort toward practice and cleaning up some of the areas where he felt his team had developed some slippage.
Kent native Jacob Imgabrov with the basket at the other end for Lehigh, and Brian White takes the rebound, and it's deflected out of bounds by Bobby Jones, and in comes Justin Detman, and it is at the 16:24 mark as Appleby did get the start. Also coming in now for Lehigh, Mitch Gilfallen, and Fishman will inbound.
Washington in a full court zone, showing 1 trap, 1 and done. When you extend the defense like that and you get that quick trap, you try to see if you can rattle your opponent a little bit into an errant pass.
Almost an errant pass there right on cue as Brockman showing some quickness getting out on the floor. Mitch Gilfillan out of Morton, Illinois, trying to enter that ball on the wing, and now he will inbound. Tied at 4, just underway. 13 to shoot for Lehigh. And almost another steal. That back into the backcourt, a tug of war. Players are down. The official will correct the call, and it will be Washington's basketball when we come back. A little bit of a slow start for both of these teams. Tied at 4, back with more from Heck Edmondson. Washington looking for 800 here at home. Both teams struggling with some sloppy play and turnovers and knocking down some shots as Lehigh and Washington are tied at 4 apiece. But Jamal Williams has been doing anything but struggling, especially over the last 5 or 6 games.
But Jamal Williams moves so well without the basketball. He's always getting open around the basket. And as you see the double team, they're approaching him. And that has been one of the methods of trying to cool his hot hand, is to send that extra defender. He merely steps away from that and shoots a follow-away jump shot.
Jamal currently on the sidelines. You see his numbers and where he is right now. 7th best scorer among all Pac-10 participants at 16 points a game, shooting 56% from the floor. Hans Gasser on the floor now for Washington. Remember that scramble before we went to commercial between Oliveira and Brandon Roy, and the ball was ruled off Oliveira, who goes to the sideline. And surprised to see Billy Taylor take out Oliveira, who's been doing everything for Lehigh. Pull-up jump shot is knocked down by Gasser, who's become more and more important to Washington. He played so very well against Gonzaga and also against New Mexico after Washington almost gave away most of a 20-point lead.
Yeah, he's playing with a great deal of confidence now. Gasser understanding that his minutes are going to be there, and he's one of those players that's nondescript. You know, he hustles, he sets screens, he plays pretty good defense, but he does bring the ability to stretch that defense and shoot the outside shot.
There is John Brockman. Play a couple of times ago, Larry, when you were talking about him getting into the passing lane and extending defense, well, he got up onto the scorer's table and cut his hand. He's being treated along the sideline. We'll try to get more information for you, but is expected back in the game. Gilfillan goes baseline. Brandon Roy picked up that previous foul.
And good pressure defense right now by Washington.
Neptune steps back, rattles that one away. Gasser can't take the rebound. And also on is Artem Wallace, the freshman out of Toledo, Washington, and Toledo High School. Good head fake, gets rid of the defense, and Justin Detman scores for the Huskies, who now lead at 8-4.
And you can just see the maturity of Detman just rise after each game, and that was a very mature play, being very patient. He understood that he was at a disadvantage and used a nice up fake to clear an open shot path for himself.
Good move by Neptune along the baseline, and that foul is going to be on Bobby Jones. So it'll be free throws coming to Neptune, mentioned out of Brooklyn, New York, their second leading scorer, just under 14 points per game. All of last year, scored 87 points. And coming into this game, he had 151, so he's become vitally important to the fortunes of Lehigh University playing out of the Patriot League. Free throw is good, and still Washington continues to lead it, now 8-5, 1 of 2, and some token full court pressure by Lehigh.
just to slow up that transition game of the Washington Huskies.
Joel Smith has also come on, wearing 0. Roy, skip pass. Away from the defense of Lehigh. Good block out by Lehigh, but Detman just too quick to the basketball.
As physically challenging as this is going to be, Lehigh did a very nice job of challenging that initial shot and putting bodies on people.
Gasser, step back, rattles in and out, and White with a rebound.
And that's how Lehigh is going to have to play this game. It's got to be one and done. If they allow Washington to just ravage that offensive board, that could make it a long night. One and done. Secure that rebound. Look to get in transition if you're Lehigh. If it's not there, come down, run your half-court offense.
And Washington averaging 16 offensive rebounds per game so far on the preseason, if you will. 10 to shoot. This is exactly the tempo that Lehigh wants. Gilfillan splitting the double team. White, long-range jumper, not there. And rebound comes to John Gourlay. 7-footer out of Hot Springs, Arkansas, just on, and Lorenzo Romar not happy at all on the Washington sideline. You can see him right there, hands on his hips. He wants one and done as well.
Exactly, and you play that deep into the shot clock, and then you give up an offensive rebound. It's very demoralizing to your defense.
Good patience. Neptune attacking, breaking down the defense, and then sharing the ball with Gourlay, who gets the basket off the head fake.
And again, with good patience, as this often happens, you see the slight double team there, and Neptune drives to the basket and draws the defense, and then makes a nice extra pass off to Gourlay. And when you start to fire on all cylinders like that, you get that offensive rebound. You start setting good screens. You execute your screen and roll. Good things can happen. And this is what Lehigh needs to do, is build their confidence in their offense and realize that if they run their plays, they can get good looks.
Williams passing out of the double team again, and Gasser with a jump shot from 18 feet right side. Gasser now has 4 quick points off the bench. Gilfillan working against Detman coming out of the backcourt. Washington leads it 10-7. Neptune up fake on the perimeter, looks to try to force things down inside. Force it he does, as he is called for the offensive foul.
And we talked about Cal Neptune's ability to go one-on-one and make plays, and we also talked about him getting into foul trouble. And you know, you've got to make great decisions on the perimeter, and when you're playing against a good defensive team, you know, there are times where you're going to be able to beat the initial defender, the man guarding you, but once you get into traffic, help is coming, and that's when you've got to be prepared to stop and take that little short jump shot, or stop it heading down the defense and make the extra pass.
So Neptune goes to the sidelines after a very quiet word with head coach Billy Taylor, which is most customary for the head coach of Lehigh University. Silly foul over the top that time by Jamal Williams after Gourlay had captured the rebound. And I emphasize quiet. We went to practice yesterday evening in the North Gym, which is attached to Heck Edmondson Pavilion, to watch Lehigh practice. And it was very interesting to watch Billy Taylor, just 32 years of age in his 4th season, just very quietly, calmly approach the game of basketball with all of his players. He would go out in the middle of a drill and talk to his point guard or a wing. I couldn't hear what he was saying. It was very interesting to watch, and his players seemed to really respond.
You know, his approach to coaching, much like in a classroom, and very businesslike, a lot of emphasis on the fundamentals. You can see that he's doing a very good job, and his team is reflecting that and how hard they play and the attention to detail.
Gasser thought about the jumper. Jim Anderson on now, and Jamal Williams takes him right to the basket.
What a great move on the baseline, and just very patient. Jamal Williams looking middle, realizing that help was coming, defensive help, spun baseline, and just a nice reverse layup.
Half a dozen now for Williams on 3 of 5 shooting. Greg Page on, wearing number 23. Little touch foul by Appleby, who has come back on to try to challenge as Brian White came out to take that entry pass. We're going to step aside just momentarily here from Seattle with the 9th-ranked Washington Huskies on top of Lehigh, 12-7. Back in Seattle, 11:44 remaining in the opening half. The Huskies leading the Mountain Hawks from Lehigh 12-7. And one of the legendary coaches here at the University of Washington, and someone you were very generous with.
Too generous. Boy, Coach Harshman was an elder statesman when I played, and then started to be an assistant coach at UCLA and head coach. but he always had a kind word, and he was one of those figures, almost grandfatherly, where for a young guy, a young coach getting into this business, he always had a kind word and a word of encouragement to encourage you to do the best possible job you could.
Marv Harshman here from 1972 to 1985, 246 wins against 146 losses, and rightly so, inducted straight into the Hall of Fame as soon as he retired from the sideline. Lehigh could not inbound the ball against the Huskies' pressure, so they were forced to call a quick 30-second timeout. There's Billy Taylor, played at Notre Dame for John McLeod, was recruited by Digger Phelps, played there from 91 to 95, and his experience under John McLeod really helped to shape his approach to being a basketball coach.
No question, and we talked to their staff at practice yesterday, and they talked about their scouting reports being anywhere between 30 and 40 pages long. Now, we didn't see those scouting reports, but you can only imagine that with Coach McLeod's NBA influence, that those are very detailed plays, player personnel profiles, and you name it, it's probably in there.
Gilfillan with it, working under the pressure of Washington with a look off the backboard. Nice play that time by Mitch Gilfillan, his first basket, and it is 12-9 Huskies. So Lehigh accomplishing exactly what they wanted. Maybe they've gotten rid of the jitters a little bit. They've weathered an early storm. Is that going to be a traveling violation? No, they're going to call a foul, or a jump ball they call on the arrow. It'll be Lehigh's ball.
Well, you see the pass to penetration that time, and then Mitch Gilfillan shoots that little floater. He beats the initial defender, but rather than take the ball into the heart of the Washington Husky defense, he pulls up and takes what, we like to take that shot in horse. He made it look a lot easier than it was, but a nice kiss off the backboard.
Full court. Oh, that's a travel. Right in the middle of the floor, but the officials in the holiday season letting that one go. Page with the save onto the floor. Enderoff has that shot rejected by Jamal Williams. Ball away, jump shot not there. Battle for the offensive rebound. Joel Smith comes up dry. The ball's on the floor. Oliveira is after it. Should be and is Washington's basketball.
Well, here you see the pass, and Jason Enderoff does a nice job of gathering himself to get his balance, but really doesn't elevate into that shot. And Jamal Williams is standing there on that help side defense, waiting for that shot to come up. That's great help side team defense.
Again, Enderoff, a local product from Kentwood High School, has had a couple of pretty good first seasons for Lehigh, but then injured his right foot the early season and has kind of fallen off and lost a bit of his conditioning. Jump shot from the outside, good by Washington. They now lead it 15-9.
And, Appleby is that kind of player. If he starts knocking down outside shots, he's a handful. It's all about confidence and rhythm with him.
A 45% three-point shooter so far on the year. Drive baseline, and it's going to be a turnover against Lehigh. That is Jose Oliveira, traveled, looking inside for Jim Anderson wearing number 32 as they try to sort things out. 10:25 remaining in the opening half. Washington and Lehigh, second meeting all time, and Washington leading in this one 15-9. First meeting was back in 1995. The Huskies won that one 82-66. Jones has that ball tapped away, and Neptune back on. Brian White coming inside. Beautiful play. Bobby Jones getting back defensively. Page can't get the stick back. And Lehigh needs all of those to go if they want to stay in this game.
But they've got to continue to attack the basket and make sure they elevate on their shots, because they're getting high percentage shot opportunities. And if you stop doing that and you start looking for those shot blockers, you're going to miss out on maybe some opportunities that your defense is now creating for your offense.
Huskies with their fifth turnover. Oliveira not there. Battle for the rebound, and it's taken by Jones.
Lehigh switching his defense as they've come back, and they played a little zone defense. And that further slowed the pace down, which is exactly what they want.
Kick into the corner by the senior Bobby Jones out of Compton, California, and has a great desire by the time he's finished, if he's not already there, to become absolutely a complete player, which is something people have speculated was certainly not when he arrived.
And a good timeout that time by Billy Taylor. You want to make sure that you're getting back on defense and then locating shooters, and you see the extra pass that time. Good offensive teams will take a good shot and make the extra pass to get an even better shot. Bobby Jones was set. He was in rhythm. He squared to the basket. And when you can get him that kind of look, he's a pretty dangerous shooter from 15 to 18 feet.
Averaging 11.7 points per game. And what's remarkable about this Washington team, and you know, it's been much discussed, the preseason schedule for the Huskies, it's been relatively soft. Save for Gonzaga and New Mexico, it has been soft. But I think from Lorenzo Romar's point of view, I think it's been a very smart schedule. He knew he was going to replace so many players and bring in younger players who were going to face a lot of pressure. You lose the likes of Nate Robinson, Trey Simmons, and Will Conroy, and having some cupcakes, if you will, on your schedule early on isn't such a bad plan.
Well, you have an opportunity to play young players and have them develop in their confidence. So they're getting a chance to play the game and pace and speed of college basketball for the incoming freshmen is a lot different. So with that kind of a schedule, it gives you a chance to play those players. And in addition to that, with a Brandon Roy, who now is going to be playing and handling the ball, playing point guard and handling the ball a lot more. Bobby Jones, who is going to be playing more and more on the perimeter. A schedule like this really provides you an opportunity to play those players in new positions. So it helps the old, it helps the young.
Nice block that time by White on the drive attempt by Brandon Roy. And if Roy had not been injured at the beginning of last season when he sprained his knee or strained a ligament in his left knee, he may well have gone to the NBA. So getting back to that schedule, and as a former UCLA Bruin, you know all about cupcake schedules in the preseason.
Yeah, we were always accused of that, but Coach Wooden always put together the kind of schedule that he felt would best help that year's team, and I believe that's exactly what Coach Lomar has done. And where this will really show or pay dividend is about halfway through the Pac-10 season.
Oliveira trying to draw contact, did not. The ball off the side of the iron. And although Lehigh certainly was effective at running the clock down, they did not get a good look. Lorenzo Romar's team continuing. Now they've settled down a little bit. They haven't played in a week, and they're also playing good defense now.
And that's why you need playmakers at the end of a shot clock possession, players like Oliveira or Neptune, who can take their defender off the dribble. Gil Phillip had a nice move, but as we get later in the shot clock, you got to play with a lot of poise and confidence and not rush the shot, but get it good.
Roy from 18 feet, right side is up and good. Brandon Roy in the game now. That's his first basket on 1 of 3 shooting.
And I love the poise in which Brandon Roy is playing because, as you mentioned, with all of the players, Conroy and Robinson, Trey Simmons, having lost all those players, the faithful here at Washington all of a sudden started to say, well, you know, Brandon, your scoring opportunities and your points are all going to go up. And he's really let the game come to him. He understands that as they get into the Pac-10 season, he's going to be required to take over games. And right now, he's doing what all good players should do. He's making the other 4 players around him better.
Engelbroth scores at the other end. Detman tries to answer, not there. Long rebound comes out to Gil Phillip. Neptune running with him right side. Three-pointer on the way off the front of the iron. No, and rebound taken by Williams. 20-11, Washington leads it. Roy, nice job creating some space, but comes up empty there. And Neptune takes the rebound, and Brandon Roy steals it right back. John Brockman back in the game after getting some patchwork done on his hand. Doesn't seem to be wearing any tape. He probably looked at it and went, wait a minute, that's nothing. I don't need that. I don't need that. And Brockman with a near steal near midcourt, trying to get the ball away from Mike Fishman for Lehigh. So Washington now shooting about 44%, well below their season. Still up 22-11. Welcome back once again to Seattle and college basketball coming to you on FSN as the Washington Huskies leading Lehigh by a score of 22-11. Thanks in part to Brandon Roy adding to this 14-4 run.
Well, you know, shooter's rule is when you take your shot, you're supposed to follow it. And you see Brandon Roy right there. He knows exactly where that ball is going to come off, and he plays cat and mouse. He gets behind Kyle Neptune, and when Neptune thinks that the ball is safely secured, Brandon Roy steals right in and takes the steal. But, you know, that's just a player making a heads-up play, understanding that he's going to miss the shot, following his shot, then attacking the rebound.
Nice backdoor cut that time by Fishman and fouled hard by Williams. Set the lineup for you. Smith, Williams on the floor for the Washington Huskies, along with Bobby Jones. Brockman out there as well. And the free throws will be coming to Mike Fishman out of Cooper City, Florida. a 74% free throw shooter so far on the year. Lehigh, after a trip to the NCAA tournament in 2004, fell to 14 and 15 last year. And the crowd very excited about the first appearance of the year. A bruised and battered Mike Jensen comes on the floor.
What a welcome back Brockman gave him. He broke his nose and then poked him in the eye yesterday, but Mike Jensen won't feel any of that now.
Separated his left shoulder, trying to get ready for this year in September. Had surgery. They've been practicing all week long, and seeing his first action so far of the 2005-2006 season. Ball turned over along the baseline. Neptune with a good steal and then stepped over the end line. 6:14 remaining in the first half, and Washington leading Lehigh 22-11. Where's his playing time going to come from?
Well, with his experience, it really puts a lot of pressure, and coaches like to put that kind of pressure on your starters, because when you've got a player of Jensen's stature, you know, he started 34, 35 games. He averaged over 20 minutes a game, so he's a fifth-year senior. He brings a wealth of experience. So now when you're out there playing and Coach Romar says, get your knees bent, I want you to rebound, I want you to talk on defense, and you don't do it, you start to look over your shoulder, because you know now he's got somebody that he can put in that will do it. So that's one of the great teaching tools in coaching basketball, is having somebody that can come in and do the job.
Jensen out of Kent, Washington. And certainly Lorenzo Romar and Washington Husky fans very glad to see the senior back available and in the lineup. Last year had 17 three-point makes. Percentage down a little bit from the previous year. Referees are looking at that shot right there, and use of our replay here on FSN. It was ruled that Kyle Neptune had stepped out of bounds, and you're seeing what the officials are seeing.
You know, with the game being as quick and as fast-paced as it is, you just want the officials to get calls right, to not necessarily make a difference, but if they are making a difference, that it's based on information that's correct.
Denton with it at the point. Lehigh drops back into a 2-3 zone.
Washington will try and attack this zone from the inside out, constantly getting man movement and ball movement to try and get that defense spread. So now it's easier to penetrate it either off the dribble or with that pass to the inside, and look to take that outside shot, not as a first or second option, but as one of the last options.
Bill Fillon picks up his dribble near midcourt. Not a good idea. Neptune still on the dribble, working on Smith. Nice crossover. Pull-up jumper not there. Long rebound comes up to Detman off that miss inside by Brian White. Washington's basketball. Paul Sunderland with Larry Farmer. Wishing you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year this evening from Seattle. 5:33 remaining, and this game stalled quite a bit. Mentioned that Washington was only shooting 43%, because on the year they shoot 52%, best among all Pac-10 teams, but tonight so far just 10 of 24.
And so many of their baskets come off good defense and transition that they're always getting high percentage shots or second shots.
Roy just put Brian White away. Nice pull-up jumper from 17 feet. Brandon Roy now with half a dozen. 16-4 run by Washington. Nice steal that time by Detman. Ball comes loose and comes back to Gil Fillon. Lehigh should reset and run some clock. Jose Oliveira checking back in, has been very, very quiet so far.
With great patience comes great poise. And toward the end of the shot clock, you don't want to take a bad shot, because again, that puts you at a disadvantage and it can be demoralizing to you. You want to get the best shot, but later in the possession, and that's why screening is so important.
Jensen with his first shot and his first make of the season. A very welcome sight once again, particularly with Pac-10 play starting versus Arizona on Thursday, Arizona State on Thursday, and Arizona on Saturday. Ball tipped away that time by Brockman, so with 4:17 remaining, Gasser will come back on for Brockman. Another look at Jensen out of the corner.
And he's wide open on that shot, and that's certainly one that he loves to take. But, you know, when you add him into that Husky formula, you've got to put a defender out there. You've got to account for where Jensen is. And One of the things that will then do to the Husky offense, it further opens up those driving lanes. So those penetrators will have a lot clearer path to the basket.
Speaking of a clear path, Oliveira with a beautiful look that time to Greg Page, freshman from Montreal, Canada, scoring it for Lehigh. Roy on the dribble, loses his footing, and Washington will lose the basketball on the turnover. But it has been the Washington Huskies, albeit not pretty every step of the way, but they are up by 13 over Lehigh. Washington on top of Lehigh 26-13 here at Bank of America Arena at Heck Edmondson Pavilion. And the Washington Huskies welcome the Lehigh Mountain Hawks out of the Patriot League. Some information: founded 1865, 6,600 students in the hills of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, about 75 miles from New York and 50 miles from Philadelphia. I tried to look up the history behind the Mountain Hawk. Not in the book. Not in the book.
Do you know what a Mountain Hawk is?
I can guess. It's a hawk that lives in the mountains.
The mountains.
Okay, that's what I thought too. Aaron pass that time from Gilfillan, looking inside for the 7-footer Gourlay. And as far as turnovers are concerned, that's 9 now for Lehigh. Washington with 6.
And the scoring tandem of Neptune White and Oliveira to this point only has 3 points, and you're fortunate to only be down 13 when your top 3 scorers are not really producing.
Roy skips it out of the double team, and the pass not there, looking for Detman cross court. So with 3:32 remaining, it's the Washington Huskies, guided by, in his 4th season, Lorenzo Romar with 26, and Lehigh at 13.
Lehigh's been on a drought here, and I think for their confidence level and not to let this slip away any further, they need a good shot, they need a good look.
Oliveira with the air ball. The rebound was taken by Page, but he stepped across the end line. Jose Oliveira. Talked about Jose before the game. His father, a colonel, just retired from the U.S. Army, and so far just 1 of 4 field goals, and they needed him to have a big night. Nice block inside that time by Fishman against Roy. Page ahead of the pack. Jensen trying to get there. The layup not close. Roy battles for it, and as I mentioned, it has not always been pretty so far for either team. Gasser on the outside. Good hustle by Page, but that's going to be 3 free throws coming as Page fouled Gasser as he was spotted up for the 3-pointer.
And that all made possible, and you could see some of those little things that Mike Jensen does. He's backpedaling right now and realizes that there's a man behind him, so now he puts it in full gear, and great timing to attack the ball after the shot, but to avoid the foul. And I thought that led to Greg Page's frustration at that end, which resulted in fouling a 3-point shooter, which is a cardinal sin at the other.
I think Greg Page would have another opinion as far as the foul being avoided. Lehigh just 2 for their last 12 field goals. First 2 free throws good by Gasser. Appleby will come on now for Roy. Smith will head to the sideline, and he'll be replaced by Bobby Jones. If you're just joining us, Ryan Appleby got his first start as a member of the Washington Huskies tonight. Justin Detman a little bit late. No fault of his own, quite frankly. That's from a player's point of view, not a coach's point of view, Coach Farmer. And Detman in the game now. They're both in the game together. All free throws good by Gasser. Washington leads it 29-13.
Again, good ball pressure being applied by Detman.
Oliveira back on the sideline for Lehigh, trying to spread the floor. Good play that time by Jensen, but it comes back to Gourlay. Fans want an offensive foul. Some wild-looking play down inside, and Roy knocks it out of the hands of teammate Justin Detman, and Lehigh will have it with a fresh shot clock.
Between Gourlay and Jensen, there were bodies flying. You see the ball go into Gourlay, and that could have easily been called an offensive foul, but the refs let that go, and then Jensen banging in there trying to retrieve that loose ball. So bodies are flying, referees letting them play.
Gilfillan thought about it. For those of you watching this game in the Seattle area, don't forget Sonics basketball coming up after this one against the Dallas Mavericks. Gilfillan, a long 3-pointer right on the NBA cue. Another rebound comes out to Lehigh. Fishman with it.
Husky defense really pushing the Lehigh offense away from the basket.
Page baseline, Appleby drops to the level of the ball and comes up with a steal. 10th turnover. Jensen looking for the three-pointer. Boy, he looks very, very solid. Hit his first jump shot from the wing. Spots up for the three. You see him wearing that. And he still remembers how to celebrate.
He does not feel that broken nose or that poked eye now. And you know, what a way to welcome him back. You could just see the excitement. Again, the fifth-year senior. Appleby makes a nice play on the ball, playing help side defense, never lost vision, gets his head up, and now he's looking down the floor. Mike Jensen has sprinted the floor and spotted up and takes his time, gets in a nice rhythm, keeps that ball high, lets it fly, and is rewarded by the three-point basket. But that's what he brings to this Washington team, that physical element on defense. He knows all the nuances of how to push and shove without getting those foul calls, and then running the floor and the ability to take that long outside shot and stretch the defense.
You know, we were talking about where Jensen's minutes would come from, and you're looking at it from a coach's point of view, and obviously so, just like Lorenzo Romar and assistants Cameron Dollar, among others, are. But players decide who plays.
Oh.
If you play well, you play. It's as simple as that. The more good players you have, the better chances you have to win.
And all you have to do is listen to them in practice, because they will show you in practice, they will tell you in practice if they're working hard enough to deserve an opportunity to play.
Neptune, nice look down inside. Shot not there by Imgabrov. And wild save onto the floor by Detman, and the ball comes free. And Lehigh will have it once again, now trailing by 19. Oliveira looking for his second basket. He's got that. He's now 2 of 5 from the floor.
Well, in the Lehigh scheme of things, Jose Oliveira has been their scoring two-guard. And what his role in their offense has been to run around, use screens, catch the ball in the floor of their offense, take open shots or create open shots. And now, because he's been moved to the point guard position, he's had to wear two hats. And if you're not comfortable with the mindset of a point guard, thinking pass first, shot second, it takes a while to adjust. And certainly Jose Oliveira has done a great job for Lehigh in wearing both hats and being that point guard that can score but look shot and pass first.
Lehigh to inbound, 1:15 remaining in the opening half. Offensive foul was called against Justin Detman as he ran through the chest of Kyle Neptune, who has the ball now for Lehigh. Inside to Imgabrov, not strong enough with the ball. Outside to Oliveira, on the way not there. Good rebound taken by Roy.
Good transition that defense that time by Lehigh. They got an open shot. It didn't come up as a surprise, so the defense was ready to sprint back and then match up.
.15 to shoot for the Huskies, and that will come up way short by Jones, but Roy with a rebound. And he will bring it back outside. Lorenzo Romar, hands on hips. I don't think particularly happy, looking at his body language and the way his Huskies have played, in spite of the fact they lead at 32-15.
Well, they've done a marvelous job with a lot of the level of competition that has been well talked about here, of putting teams away. You're averaging 25-point wins per game, and so they haven't brought teams in here and toyed with them or played with them, and I'm sure he's going to talk to them about turnovers.
Shot is blocked at the halftime horn by Bobby Jones. Oliveira wanted a foul, and I would imagine Lorenzo Romar is going to have some things to talk about at the half.
Well, you look at the passion or lack of passion at times that Washington played with, and I'm sure that's going to be addressed in sloppy play, but 20 minutes of basketball left.
32-15, the Huskies over Lehigh. Back in Seattle, the Huskies over the Lehigh Mountain Hawks. I just love saying Mountain Hawks, you know that? 32-15, and it was not a particularly attractive first half. We talked about that during the break, but there were some notable plays by Washington first.
Well, Jamal Williams, again, getting open. He's one of those offensive players that always finds a way to find the ball, and Brandon Roy taking the shot and following the shot, as all good shooters do, and doing what he does best defensively is making a play on the ball. And where I thought there was a real bright spot was the return of Mike Jensen, running the floor, making himself a factor on defense and rebounding, but spotting up and hitting that three. And I thought that was a great boost for the Washington Husky team.
Huskies shot just 43%. Look at the leading scores. Gasser comes off the bench with 7. Jamal Williams had all of those early. And again, not a lot of scoring, but that's because Lehigh certainly wants to run as much clock as possible.
And the byproduct of running that clock is Jose Olivero has got to do exactly what you see him do there, is late in the shot clock, whether it be off screens or off the dribble, he's got to be able to create enough distance between himself and the defender to get an open shot. And then Jason Imgebrock, as you see him working without the basketball and making himself a factor, he's a very fundamentally sound player, and if he can get more touches around the basket, he can be a factor on the inside.
And if you only score 15 points, as Lehigh did in the first half, nobody's really going to be jumping off the page. You look at the numbers, Lehigh's shooting percentage pretty self-explanatory. 0 for 7 from three-point range. Free throws, not a lot of action there. Turnovers, way too many for either coach to be happy at all.
Well, you know, the big three for Lehigh, Neptune, White, and Jose Olivero, normally average 38 points per game. They're giving you 38, which is a very large percentage of the points that they average as a team. And when they are only scoring 5 points as a tandem, certainly you'll need to dig deeper in the second half and make those players more productive in the offense.
As he did to start this game, Ryan Appleby out front with it. Almost a turnover for Washington. Good hustle that time by Brian White for Lehigh. It'll be Washington's ball. Shot clock at 24. Roy out there with Jamal Williams, Bobby Jones, John Brockman as well.
Lehigh starting off in a position man-to-man defense, and by position man-to-man, they're not applying a great deal of pressure on the ball, but really sagging off and helping on that help side to force or encourage an outside shot as opposed to dribble penetration.
15-footer straight away, soft roll that time by Jamal Williams. He registers his 8th point, and now it is a 19-point lead for Washington.
They're shooting 56% on the year, and he shot 56% field goal percentage last year. Just takes good shots, just gets open, and knows how to finish.
Another turnover that time. Neptune not quite able to catch up to that pass from Oliveira, with Billy Taylor looking on. We mentioned played at Notre Dame, an assistant coach there in '98 and '99, then went on to UNC Greensboro before getting his first head coaching job. Nice turnaround jump hook on the baseline again by Williams. First player in double figures now with 10. It's 36-15. Lehigh looking for their first score so far. The second 20 minutes, another turnover. Roy back to Brockman. No, nice block that time by White. Brian White out of Plantation, Florida, plays above the rim, and he certainly introduced himself that time to Brandon Roy.
Brandon, I think, was a little bit surprised because he didn't explode into that layup as he ordinarily does, but he thought he might be able to quick White to the basket, and White struck that long arm out and elevated and wound up blocking that shot.
Jones with a rebound. Just a sloppy game all around for Lorenzo Romar's 9th-ranked Washington Huskies. Right now they have just registered their 9th turnover, not shooting it like they have. And again, we talked about the schedule. Besides Gonzaga and New Mexico, it's been a soft schedule. And we talked about the rationale for that, and we both agree, quite honestly, that it was good planning. But this has probably been the worst 22 minutes of basketball so far for Washington.
And you might attribute a little bit of that to Lehigh's their style of play, but also I think with school having just let out and Christmas looming on the horizon, oftentimes players will start to vacation or enjoy the holidays before that final game or that final horn is sounded. So maybe a little bit of the holiday spirit affecting both teams right now.
Look inside from Frischman to White, not there. And speaking of some games that were easy, here are some games that will be very tough. Arizona, as we talked about, these coming up on FSN. Washington State, an easy win last night here in Seattle at Key Arena over Utah. Then at USC, they've won 8 in a row. Most recent victim was North Carolina and the UCLA Bruins, who have been pretty good a time or two and playing very well this year.
And those young players for UCLA. Pac-10 is going to be awfully tough. You see that double team that time on Jamal Williams.
Nice pass that time to Bobby Jones. Count the basket and the foul. Very unselfish play by Williams, looking for teammate Bobby Jones.
That's one of the marks of a veteran team, and They look for each other. They understand where their teammates are going to be on the floor. And again, the unselfishness, having an open shot, making the extra pass, that's a fun way to play offense.
Jones now with half a dozen, just 1 of 3 so far from the free throw line. Washington leading at 39-15. Gilfillan being pressured, and that creates the turnover. Here comes Jones against Gilfillan, lays it up and in off yet another Lehigh turnover, their 14th. We've got a timeout here in Seattle, and Bobby Jones leading the way now for the Huskies. Washington really starting to put some distance between themselves and Lehigh, now leading at 41-15. And Jamal Williams really solid against the double team, reading the defense.
Well, he puts it on the floor, and as soon as that double team defense comes, he turns away from it, and that's one way to attack it. And here you see the second. He passes the ball out the first time, reestablishes, gets it back, and when he goes middle that time, it's heads up, it's on a swivel. He's looking for open teammates. He had a shot, he made the extra pass.
So Lehigh will work their way into the front court. Jose Olivero, much counted on for offense and leadership. A pretty slow night against this defense. Long-range jump shot not there by Neptune. And Lehigh still looking for their first make from the three-point line. They're now 0 for 8.
And you've got to credit their offense that time, because again, Cal Neptune is one of the players from Lehigh that you want taking that open shot. He shoots it with a great deal of confidence. He's shooting 39% on the year, but wide open shot that time, and everything that he's taken so far at least has been short. So they're running their offense, they're getting the shots at times that they want to shoot, but they're just not making them.
Justin Detman getting ready to come back in the game. Rebound is missed by Brockman, taken by Williams, and Lorenzo Romar took a long walk after that cross-court pass was intercepted for yet another turnover. Bobby Jones pushed Mitch Gilfillan halfway back to Lehigh.
Gilfillan at 5'11" was attempting to box Bobby Jones out, and when you're 5'11" and you get down in a stance, that puts his backside at about knee level, and Bobby Jones, to protect his knees, just pushed off.
Washington now shooting 47%, 3 of 9 from three-point range. And it just got to the free throw line 6 times. Pass underneath, beautiful read that time by Roy. Lehigh has yet to score here in the second half. Brockman reverse layup, not there, tip not there, tip again by Roy. Emgebrov takes the rebound. And ahead of the pack, Neptune has that shot blocked by Brockman. Kyle Neptune cannot believe that a foul was not called, and Mike Fishman stepped in and took the foul.
Well, you see the lead pass that time, and Neptune actually slows down, and what you want to do in that situation is not slow down, but speed up, and Brockman was not having anything with giving away an easy shot attempt.
We'll be right back after the timeout. Washington in control.
We're getting pretty close here to telling some stories. So
we can talk about the yeah. Okay.
is that going to make me feel better when I highlight that 84 triple overtime loss that I suffered?
Absolutely.
When a building sees its first action some 78 years ago, there are certainly a lot of history. Washington on top now 41-15, but some notable games played at Heck Edmondson Pavilion.
And you get all the way down to that one at the bottom right there.
Save the best for last.
1984. I was a 32-year-old head coach at UCLA, and I thought I was going to sneak in here and steal one from Coach Harshman, and I had that game won 3 times, but it was the 3rd overtime where I really needed to get the job done, and Detlef Shrimp, Christian Velt delivered a victory, and it was a hard-fought game, like most of them were here, but I wind up donating to the cause.
Begrudgingly, and Bobby Jones having a nice start to the second half. Lehigh has yet to score, and the lead now is 43-15. Washington looking to get to 10-0. They will certainly get there. They will notch their 31st consecutive victory at home, and this building will see its 800th victory all time.
You know, through the years we've talked about Heck Edmondson, how much with the history it has not changed. The outside certainly has been this way since the 70s when I was a player, and then the 80s and 90s, having been here many times. But you know, they get great crowds here, and the fans are very supportive, and it's great to see how Rockus, with the job that Coach Romar has done for the return of basketball here at Heck Ed.
Roy got in the air. Jones off the back of the iron. Bobby just needs 2 more points to become the 30th player all time. That's a travel. Spin it up, not called. Jones gets the rebound, needs 2 more to become the 30th player all time in Washington history with 1,000 points. That ball through Gasser's hands. And yet another turnover. That is turnover number 11 now for the Huskies.
Well, with the up-tempo style of Washington, and they average 95 points a game, you know there's going to be a lot of ball handling and turnovers. They average 16 on the year per game, but you know this has not been one of those games where up-tempo has created a lot of those situations, so it's really been decision-making.
Nice score that time by White, so the drought is over, and another turnover in the backcourt called against Justin Detman. Again for the Huskies, starting on Thursday versus Arizona State, right here at Heck Edmondson Pavilion. Lorenzo Romar's 9th-ranked Huskies will take on Arizona State, and then on Saturday it'll be the Arizona Wildcats. Arizona has 3 losses, but they are playing very, very well again.
And in typical Lute Olson fashion, you know, there are times where his teams are slow to start, but with the schedule that they play, you know, when you look down the road as they finish that preseason schedule and start Pac-10, that's when you can really start to evaluate the Arizona Wildcats.
Pull-up jump shot that time by Detman, stepped inside the 3-point line, knocked down the 16-footer. Detman now with just 4 points so far in the game. John Brockman has yet to get in the scoring column after averaging 13 points, 8 rebounds per game.
So much of Brockman's offense is predicated on quick post-ups and offensive rebounding. There are times where that ball is just going to find you, and there are other times where if you don't go and get it, you're going to be excluded from the offense, but he certainly made his presence felt in other ways.
Oliveira, beautiful move down the lane away from the Husky defense. And for Jose Oliveira, he now has half a dozen, but just on 3 of 9 shooting, and the Huskies continue to lead it 45-21. Joel Smith coming in along with Artem Wallace. And Brockman will head to the sideline along with Brandon Roy. There's Artem Wallace, went to Toledo High School, originally from St. Petersburg, Russia. And a tragic story that started 4 years ago. He came here to pursue basketball, to go to high school in Washington. Lost his mother while he was here, and has since been adopted by what was then his host family. And a tragic beginning to his time in the Northwest, but now it's made for a home.
He's won a high school player of the year, and certainly has a great upside. He's strong, he understands the game, he's a terrific rebounder, and he's becoming a better scorer.
Lehigh now in a 1-2-2 zone. The ball deflected out of bounds by Gil Fillon. Still 24 seconds on the shot clock, 12:47 remaining in this game. Paul Sunderland with Larry Farmer here in Seattle. It has been all Washington so far. Very slow start to this game for both of these teams. Washington picked it up a little towards the end of the first half.
Missed by Gasser that time. Gilfillan with a long rebound. At halftime, Washington led it by 17. Beautiful hustle that time by Bobby Jones, getting back defensively.
Bobby Jones times this out perfectly, and Brian White, who can really elevate, caught the ball, and he didn't catch it when you get a lob pass where you want it, which is right out in front of you, in front of the basket, but Brian White had to reach back and get it, and he still attempted to take the shot while he was in the air. And Bobby Jones, who's one of the best defenders, particularly perimeter defenders for Washington Huskies, said, no, not today.
Jones heads to the sideline, replaced by Ryan Appleby, who started this evening's game, his first start in a Husky uniform. Still plenty of time to shoot. Into the corner, Oliveira trying to make a couple in a row. That one rims in and out. Gasser with a good block out. Had the rebound, lost it. Ball comes free. Ball is still free, and a timeout is taken. Mike Fishman at the bottom of the pile in brown got possession of the ball, called timeout, so we will have a stoppage. 12:03 remaining in this game here from Seattle, and it has been all Washington so far. Mike Fishman, who got that loose ball and called timeout. There we get a great look at Coach Ed Pepple from Mercer Island.
Number 32, James Anderson in for the Mountain Hawks, bearing the timeout. Number 24, Jamal Williams in for the Huskies.
One of the most successful programs, certainly in the Northwest area, if not beyond. Lehigh to inbound, 12:03 remaining in this one. James Anderson wearing number 32, out of Montana on the floor now. And Lehigh continues to be very patient. They're going to stay in their style. They're more concerned, just like Washington is, with playing their brand of basketball and getting ready for the Patriot League. They're not going to throw it to the wind and start running up and down.
Absolutely not.
We got a quick timeout here in Seattle. The Huskies all over Lehigh, 45-21. And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to one and all, courtesy of SBSN. And most wins in the current arena, 799, soon to be 800, and some other very notable and historic buildings.
Well, how about that one right there? Mr. Sunderland, you had a little bit to do with wins at MacArthur Court.
Very little.
Under Dick Harder?
Very little.
Oh, I don't believe that.
Very, very little. I had the great pleasure of playing at Oregon for a couple of seasons, and we didn't win many games in those early days of the Kamikaze Kids. Boy, that was a long time ago. Foul is called against the Huskies' Jamal Williams. Look at some of the scoring. Jones leading the way with 10. After that, pretty quiet. Williams does have 10 as well. Smith on the floor now along with Wallace. Justin Detman along the baseline. Wild looking shot not there. Good rebound taken by Williams, and the Huskies looking to run. Detman wanted it cross court, back to Appleby. Smith spots up, and three-pointer off the back of the iron, and the rebound is taken by John Gourlay for Lehigh.
I mean, Joel Smith is a little bit crisper on that pass back to Ryan Appleby. Appleby had his feet set, and that's one of those shots that when he's set like that and he's wide open, those are makeable threes.
Gilfillan driving baseline, good help by Appleby. 13 to shoot. Oliveira working one-on-one against Smith, throws one up, can't get the roll. Good rebound taken by Wallace away from John Anderson of Lehigh.
And Joel Smith redeeming himself for that lackluster pass by playing really solid defense on Jose Oliveira, not allowing him to penetrate and really forcing a tough shot at the end of that shot clock.
Washington, after the miss by Appleby from long range, now just 3 of 12, and Jamal Williams had the rebound, lost it, so it'll be Lehigh's ball with 10:40 remaining in the game. Washington led 32-15 after the opening half. Nice pass that time to Gourlay, who blows the layup.
Mitch Gilfillan in transition is so quick. If you're not back on defense with your head on a swivel looking for the approaching offensive players, he finds people in transition.
Rebound inside and stick back up and in by Artem Wallace. So Lehigh misses a layup at one end, and then an offensive rebound taken by Washington in the putback.
Boy, very good illustration of Artem Wallace and his lower body strength to secure position and the rebound and then explode up and score that basket with the left hand.
Gilfillan tries to answer and does with a three-pointer of his own. Gilfillan now with 5 points so far on the night, but it's still all Washington, 47-24.
Gilfillan, a starter as a freshman, made the Patriot League All-Freshman team. Nice move on the baseline.
Joel Smith with the basket out of Lompoc, California, the 6'4 sophomore. It looked like he was going to come all the way along baseline, just jumped back out away from the hoop and laid it up and in against Lehigh's 7-footer.
That's great body control.
Gilfillan set a very tough screen on the perimeter. Not there by Gilfillan. Good rebound taken by Williams.
Well, we're talking about Gilfillan being a senior captain. He made the all-freshman team in the Patriot League and then did not start as a sophomore and did not start as a junior, but continued to work hard in practice and is now getting an opportunity as a senior to contribute. So he's certainly very reminiscent of a great attitude in a player that's getting an opportunity to play.
The senior out of Morton, Illinois, played behind, as you mentioned, a number of outstanding players, including Joe Knight, who will very soon be available to Lehigh. Averaged almost 14 points per game last year and went for 45 against Colgate, so he will be a welcome sight. Wallace misses that free throw so far on the night. The Huskies just 4 of 7 from the free throw line. Lehigh shot only 4 free throws, making just 1 as Bobby Jones returns. Second free throw not there by Wallace, and Kyle Neptune takes the rebound. And the foul is going to be called on Bobby Jones. Again, just now 2 points shy of reaching the 1,000 point mark, becoming the 30th player in Husky history to reach that plateau.
Oftentimes when you're being pressured in the backcourt, the inbounder will sprint the floor and then give that dribbler an assist where he turns around and sets a screen on the defender. And when you're guarding that player, you've got to talk and call that screen out.
Lehigh completely out of sync in that offensive set. Anderson threw a pass that Neptune could not handle, and it leads to the backcourt violation and another turnover for Lehigh. That is now 18 turnovers. Brandon Roy handling up top, finds Jones. Smith along the baseline. Good pass to Artem Wallace, who attacks. Comes loose that time. Jamal Williams, no. And an offensive rebound taken by Roy. He'll bring it back out to Seth.
Baseline, College.
Well, you get the feeling that on offense, Washington is just playing with patience and poise and passing up shot after shot to get the best possible shot on this possession.
Matt Shalahowski wearing number 35 in brown on for the first time, and a traveling violation is called on Bobby Jones. Well, maybe the poorest performance from start to finish for Lorenzo Romar's Washington Huskies during the course of this preseason. Mike Jensen comes back on, replacing Artem Wallace. Jensen, if you weren't with us for the first half, knocked down a couple of shots, including a three-pointer, had 5 points. His first action after undergoing surgery on his left shoulder back in September, still wearing a little bit of a protective brace.
I watched him shoot with that brace on in practice yesterday, and it doesn't inhibit his mobility, although it does protect the left shoulder and has not affected his shooting touch at all.
He makes 4 or 5 more shots in this ball game. You're going to see that the rest of his life.
He might not ever take that off.
Don't ever take it off. Off another turnover. Roy coming out of the backcourt, looking ahead for Williams. Can't control. Blind pass back to Jones, deflected out of bounds, and Washington will have it. 7:27 remaining in this one. The Huskies all over Lehigh, 49-24. We'll be right back.
For just $15, kids will get a t-shirt on.
7:27 remaining in this one. The Washington Huskies all over Lehigh very comfortably so far here in this ball game. And I want to remind you, tomorrow a Fox NFL special as the Giants battle the Redskins in an NFC East showdown. It all begins tomorrow at 9 a.m. on Fox. And don't forget, coming up right after this contest, it'll be NBA action over at Key Arena as the Seattle Supersonics take on the Dallas Mavericks. Washington led 32-15 at the half. and then really distance themselves and put this game away. Nice pass inside to Jones, and there it is. Bobby Jones now with 1,000 points during his distinguished Washington career.
Lehigh's 2-3 zone on the baseline that time on the out-of-bounds play, and Bobby Jones just working very hard without the ball on the bottom of that baseline, finding ways to get open.
Oliveira with a good look. Jose Oliveira maybe a little bit tight the beginning of this game. He is loosened up and having a nice second half. Oliveira now in the game leading the way for Lehigh with 9. He's been averaging 20 a game over the last 3. But they have not played. Oh, what a terrible cross-court pass. There have been a number of errant cross-court passes that have been thrown to spectators, to coaches, to players, and that's certainly something they're going to talk about.
Well, you see Bobby Jones head up, hands active, ready to go, and he just works the baseline against that zone, trying to find the gap in between the players. And when you're quick and you can find that gap and make that catch, you're usually going to be able to either set up yourself for a shot or pass it to a teammate.
6'7", 215-pound senior out of Compton, Lorenzo Romar's first really key recruit, made his 83rd career start tonight here against Lehigh. And a pass, good pressure defense out in the perimeter that time by Bobby Jones. Mentioned earlier in this game that he really wants to be known as a complete player with the numbers he's put up and his consistency becoming that. But one of the things that he said his real goal was personally, if you will, just to prove people wrong. Seemingly had so many doubters during the early stages of his Husky career.
Well, he got the reputation of being an outstanding defender because he's fundamentally sound, and he always stepped up to take the challenge of guarding the best perimeter player on the other team. But there were so many other facets of his game that have come along and improved. His ability to shoot the outside shot, his ability to drive to the basket and post up.
Fishman down inside, has the shot blocked by Jensen, and a held ball or jump ball will be called. Washington will retain possession. Brandon Burmeister coming in, 6'4" junior out of Mercer Island and Mercer Island High School. Lorenzo Romar is going to have a lot to talk about with his Huskies as they prepare for Pac-10 play.
And I'm sure a little bit of it will have to do with maybe prematurely starting the Christmas break and not bringing their minds and the effort and the level of which they have been playing against so many of the teams that have come in here.
Burmeister looking for his first basket, can't get that to fall. Brockman there for the offensive rebound, and John Brockman, so highly regarded and rightfully so. He's going to have a magnificent career for as long as he is here in Seattle, having a very forgettable game so far against Lehigh. Just 1 rebound and yet to knock down a field goal, only taking 2 shots.
I really like Brockman, and I think his future really shines bright here. When they played Gonzaga, I thought his performance against J.P. Batista was one of those performances as a freshman where you're playing against a future NBA player where you learn. And Brockman came out of that game, I think, a far better defensive player, having accepted that challenge.
Move by Jensen along the baseline. No, Smith comes up with the offensive rebound. Brockman thought about it, cut off by Fishman, who scored at the other end. Dentman again, knifes down the line. Nice rejection that time by Emgabar. Oliveira with the left hand lays it up and in. So Lehigh staying in this game, and as you knew they would, continuing to play hard for all 40 minutes under Billy Taylor. It's now 51-31.
Oliveira with a very nice move, a clever move to the basket, and he shot that ball left-handed to prevent a shot block.
The double team down inside. Jensen looking for it straight away. No. Fishman with the rebound for Lehigh. Washington from the floor now, Larry, shooting just 41%. A team that shoots 51% so far on the season. Neptune wide open down inside, maybe overpassing a little, but Emgabrov will get to the free throw line.
Well, you certainly like and appreciate the unselfishness of Kyle Neptune, but you have to think somewhere in the back of his mind, with all of the shot blocking and shot changing that the Washington Huskies defense has been providing, that he had thoughts about getting that shot changed or blocked.
Jason Emgabrov coming back home. There's his father, Andy. His wife, Karen, also here at this evening's game. And I went down and, come on, Karen, turn around. There we go. There we go. Brothers Matt and David also on hand this evening to see their big brother play. 6'10", 275-pound junior out of Kent, Washington. And I asked Jason, we talked earlier, this is the first time he's ever had a chance to play in Heck Edmondson Pavilion. Very excited about that. He's also excited because he's staying here. He's going to be home for Christmas. And, you know, a very classy move. And a lot of teams do this. Billy Taylor wanted to schedule a game back in Emgebrof's hometown here in Seattle so his family could get the thrill of watching him play a college basketball game. And I know a lot of coaches do that, but add Billy Taylor to the list, as well as we also talked about the fact that Lehigh has recruited the Northwest very effectively. Oliveira on the outside, no rebound is taken by Gasser, just on the floor now for the Huskies.
And that's one of the things in the recruitment of players when they travel all the way across the United States. You want to assure that player and his family that they'll have an opportunity to enjoy watching their youngster play.
Kick ahead, should be an easy one for Fishman, but here comes Jensen and another missed layup. Oh, he sprained his ankle. Fishman went to take off to lay that ball up, and he's turned his ankle and is in some degree of discomfort under the Lehigh basket.
You could tell by the way Mike Fishman took off that something was not right with the way he elevated.
We'll update you on Fishman when we come back to Seattle. Huskies 51, the Mountain Hawks 31. Welcome back once again to Seattle, where the Washington Huskies are leading Lehigh by 20, 3:38 remaining. And one of the things that Lehigh wanted to accomplish was to control the tempo and maybe keep Washington away from their 95.8 points per game.
And Lehigh is a good defensive team. Opponents shoot only 39% against their man-to-man and zone defenses. So, you know, packing it in, controlling the clock are certainly things that when Lehigh gets to the Patriot League and they're playing against the likes of Bucknell and Holy Cross and Colgate and American, all of which are figured to be in the higher echelon, that kind of defense I'm sure will pay big dividends.
Bucknell is favored to win the Patriot League. They already have wins at Syracuse and DePaul, and also recently defeated St. Joe's. So they're the team to beat. Out in the East, Jensen with it, facing up on Emgebrof. Paul Sunderland with Larry Farmer. Want to remind you again, the Sonics and the Dallas Mavericks, for those of you watching in the Seattle area, will be coming up right after this game. Appleby around Emgebrof, pulls up and buries a three-pointer.
Well, we watched Appleby in practice yesterday in a shooting drill, and he was textbook. Every shot that he took, of course, was not defended because it was a shooting drill, but he pretended that there was a defender in front of him because he elevated. He got great lift into that shot. So the same shot that you see him taking in games against pressure defense are the same shots that he practices every day. So there's no secret. He brings a great deal of shooting ability to the table, but he works at it, which is why he's so effective.
44% three-point shooter coming in. He's made half of his 4 three-point attempts so far, and Burmeister expecting Gasser to flare a little bit more towards the baseline, and Lorenzo Romar telling Gasser exactly that, but mark it down as the 17th turnover for the Huskies.
And Burmeister will be credited with the turnover because when you flare or you pop or you fade, it's the passer's responsibility, albeit the receiver not going to the correct spot, but it's the passer's responsibility to throw it to him wherever he is or not throw it to him at all.
Gasser out there now with Appleby, Jensen, Burmeister. Pass inside. Nice use of the left hand that time by Emgebrof.
You watch Emgebrof's his footwork in the post. Again, he's very solid. You know, he's very fundamentally sound. And although he's a larger player, when he catches the ball, he's always in a position to shoot a pass.
Joel Smith looking to slam the miss that time by Jensen. Oliveira to Neptune, splits the defenders, tipped up once, twice by Anderson, no. And Burmeister will come away with it. 1:45 remaining. The Huskies will improve to 10-0 as they get ready for Pac-10 play. 31 straight wins here at Heck Edmondson Pavilion, and the 800th all-time victory here at this venerable old building. Opened in December of 1927. Appleby with the miss. Zane Potter at the scorer's table, a real fan favorite, will be in at the next dead ball as Oliveira has the basket for Lehigh. Still plenty of time to shoot. Jenkins comes out to help, guarded by Emgebrof.
And Lehigh not letting up with their defensive pressure. They have approached this game and they've stayed in it. They've fought hard.
Ball is nearly turned over. The referee is going to correct himself, and Jose Oliveira says, yeah, hey, look, I worked real hard. Give us the turnover. So it will be yet another turnover for the Huskies. Zane Potter does come in, Washington leading it 54-35. If you're wondering about Arizona and Arizona State, Washington swept the Sun Devils last year, played them 3 times, won all 3, and they won 2 out of 3 meetings from Arizona. Those games will be Thursday and Saturday here at the Bank of America Arena at Heck Edmondson, respectively.
And you like to start off the Pac-10 that way. You get 2 good opponents at home where you've been playing very, very well. And again, as your team starts to progress and get better, you want to play that opponent further down the line.
Appleby with a long 3-pointer, not there. Rebound taken by Emgabrov. Matt Shalahowski, wearing number 35, played limited minutes, comfortably pulls up and knocks down the 17-footer. Once again, don't forget the Mavericks and Sonics coming up after this one is over. Appleby is going to dribble it out. So win number 800 here at Heck Ed, of which once again, Larry, the people in Washington want to thank you for contributing just a little bit.
And you know, certainly was not one of those victories where you're going to want to look at the tape and you're going to see a lot of up and down play and scores off turnovers and the extra pass, but you go to work in a business-like fashion. If you're the Huskies, now you take your break, you come back, you get ready to work hard again and prepare for Pac-10 play.
So Bobby Jones gets career point number 1,000. But Washington was not particularly smooth all night, and as they get ready for Pac-10 play. We'll be back with more. The Huskies win it over Lehigh 54-37.